Hey guys, welcome to another presentation. And this one I'm going to show you the top 5 tweaks to double your conversions and even double your revenue. Just to give a quick introduction for myself, is basically this is all I do for clients. I'm a SaaS marketing and messaging consultant. I help SaaS companies explain their products on their website the best way possible so more people see the value, and that's what really increases the conversions and bumps up their revenue, right? Let's jump right into it. So the tweak number 1, and this is like one that is kind of obvious, but most SaaS companies, they don't really tweak it right, so they don't squeeze as many conversions as they could from their landing page. So what most SaaS companies do is they have this really vague value proposition at the top of the page and really throughout the entire page, right? So they have something like this, like front is displaying, where they have like a smart headline that is really not smart at all, and then people really don't understand what it is and doesn't really drive that curiosity to scroll down and learn more, right? Then they end up selling on a lot of features instead of selling on the results, right? They talk about all of these features that they have. We don't really see how they work together, and we're not really going to see why is this better than what we're currently using or other things that we're exploring in terms of other solutions that they're on the market, right? So what ends up happening is you scroll to the end of the page, if you do get there, you don't really understand what are the unique selling points, you don't really understand how it can help you, and then you're not going to convert. That's the experience that a potential customer that is currently on your website might be having. And if they do, for every single objection or question or misconception that they have about your product, is just money that you're throwing down the line because you're not really converting them, right? So here's what to do instead. This is the purpose of every single landing page. It needs to answer these 3 questions. So one is, how can I use this product to fix my problems and get the desired result that I want, right? Then you need to understand, why is this better than the current solution, right? So imagine you're an internet service provider, right? And you're offering like way better internet. It was way faster. It wouldn't go down as much. It was like more reliable. But then no one would really buy because the setup time would take like a month, and they would have to pay cancellation fees to their current contractor, to their current ISP, to basically close the contract and be able to become your customer, right? So even though you would have way better internet, because of the commitments, people wouldn't really take the offer. So we need to convince people that your product is way better. If you want to get rid of that initial resistance of switching products or changing their process in some way, because people are always resistant to change. So we need to explain this really, really well, right? And then finally is, why is this better than anything else on the market? Because let's face it, even if you're a leader in your market, people are always going to compare. So what we need to explain on the website is that this is going to be the best solution for them, right? Then tweak number 2 is the pricing page, and this one is not really obvious at all. People just think it's just another page, and this is exactly what most SaaS companies do. Is just they look at a pricing page just as another page that is really not significant, when actually is really important, because this is actually one of the last steps that people take before signing up, right? But this is one of the last things that they do. This is where they actually go from a free trial to selecting which plan they wanna choose, right? That type of thing. So it's really important that they understand the price, and then more importantly, they understand the value that they're getting for that price, right? So what most companies do is they ignore it. They don't really anchor the price at the top, so they don't compare it, the value of the product is providing, to how much it costs. So it always kind of seems expensive. And then they load them with features so that I kind of can't really understand which plan is right for me, which not only it seems expensive, but now I don't know which plan to select, which can lead to just losing a lot of potential customers that just get confused. So here's what you need to do. Number 1 is you need to anchor the price. You need to compare the value of the product to how much it costs before you even show the price, right? So here's an example from one of my clients, which has like a way to display gravity forms on your website, right? Which is just like a plugin that a lot of people use, hundreds of thousands of people use, right? So basically, we're saying it shouldn't cost like thousands or hundreds of hours to display this form entries, because the other ways people would do this is they would either waste a ton of time copy and pasting things, or they would hire a developer to build this, which would cost like at least $2,000 or $3,000. So they would have that anchor in their mind before looking at the price. So anything that was below $1,000 or whatever they thought 100 hours worth of their time was, then it seemed like a really good deal, right? So moving on to one of my favorite tweaks, which is tweaking your blog and tweaking your content so you get as many leads as possible. Whether you realize it or not, if you're getting a lot of traffic from SEO and from content marketing and everything, your article is going to be their landing page. It's not going to be the homepage, it's going to be their landing page, or the first impression that they might have about your company is actually going to be a blog article, right? So what we need to do, and this is unlike most SaaS companies do, is we need to create a bridge. We need to create a transition between going from just a reader, someone that reads your content and kind of finds it useful, to becoming a lead or becoming a customer by knowing exactly what you offer and how you fix the problems that you're talking about, right? So most SaaS companies don't have this transition. They don't really have proper call to actions on their blog, and sometimes they post irrelevant content. So they post content about stuff that they don't really fix, right? They talk about problems that their product doesn't really fix. So they get traffic, but they get totally irrelevant traffic, which is sometimes the case, but it's still fixable. So what you need to do instead is, one, you need to offer a proper lead magnet. And what I mean by that is not going to be a white paper or something that is about a problem that you don't fix, or about the trends of the market or anything like that. That's going to get a lot of signups, but it's not going to get you qualified leads. So what you need to do instead is you need to offer a lead magnet that is directly related to what you offer. Then what we need to do is we need to build that bridge between going from a reader into a lead. So moving on to tweak number 4, which are the comparison pages, which is actually powerful depending on the niche that you're in, right? So if you're in the type of niche that people search for different tools, or they are on Capterra a lot and comparing tools, yeah, it might be a little competitive, but sometimes if there's a lot of a demand, then you might be able to get some customers and from some traffic out of this. For example, as the CRM space is really competitive, and you're probably going to get traffic out of this. Also, the help desk market and the HR software market is probably something that you can pull this off as well. It just depends really on the market and how competitive it is, and it's just something that you need to test out. But what most SaaS companies do is they have these comparison pages that they rank on Google, or they rank on Capterra, or they use Google Ads with. And what happens is they just have really unfair comparisons. They just say that their product is like way better, right? Like their product has all the check marks, everything that you need, and then the other product doesn't have any of the features that they're talking about, which is really just BS, and people can see through that. And what ends up happening is, instead of looking at your product as the best tool, they just not trust you as much, and then they just leave, right? And then number 2 is they don't really double down on their USPs, right? They don't make it clear what is the distinction between their product and everyone else. And it's probably because it's not really clear in their mind, so it's not going to be clear in their marketing. This is something that I say all the time. So here's what you need to do instead. And here's an example from Demio, which does this really well. So number 1 is you need to create trust by creating fair comparisons, right? Just like Demio is doing here, right? So Demio has a very similar feature set compared to GoToWebinar, right? So they're not going to say that GoToWebinar lacks all these features. They're simply going to say that Demio, you're able to join the webinar in the browser, and with GoToWebinar, the attendees would have to download like a web client that they would need in order to join the webinar, which creates a lot of resistance, right? So that alone not only creates the distinction, but also creates trust, because it's not an unfair comparison, right? And this is exactly what number 2 is all about, is just knowing your USPs and doubling down on what it is, right? So what Demio is doing here is we're saying, okay, we actually a webinar tool. We do the exact same things, like our feature set is very similar, but we just have better UX, and you're able to join through the web browser, right? That's all they say. They don't say they're necessarily better. They just let you choose. Okay, if you want people to join through the browser, and if you want this type of user experience, this is a tool to choose, right? And tweak number 5, which is one that I really like as well, is revenue expansion. And there's a bunch of ways of doing this. I'm just going to show you a couple examples. So what most SaaS companies do is they have several plans, and they don't really try to upsell anyone, right? So they have all these different plans. But if someone stays with the starter plan, they don't try to upgrade them to the business plan or whatever the plans are called, right? So if someone is in the cheapest plan, they don't try to upsell them, right? And that would be their low-hanging fruit and easier way to make more money, right? So number two is they don't really create overlapping add-ons. So they don't really create like more features or add-ons that people can use with their tool, so that it can replace some other tools that they're paying for, right? So let's say you have app that is like a to-do list, and then you add like an add-on where you can create notes, and then what that could do is people could stop paying for the notes app that they're using, so they could use everything in one app, and then you're the one that makes all the money, right? And then finally, they don't really take their pricing or their offer or how they package up their plans, so they could make more money without really getting more resistance or less sales and stuff like that. So what you need to do is, one is you need to package up your plans. So we need to find other ways to make it seem like a much higher price is still it's still like really valuable, right? So we mix up the value with like onboarding calls or free templates or maybe like a free course in there. Then you want to try to maximize your revenue per customer, right? So instead of focusing on getting as many customers as possible in the door, you just want to focus on getting as much revenue per customer as possible. So then you can use that money to spend on marketing, and then that's how you really scale, because the more money you make per customer, the more you can afford to spend on marketing in order to acquire more customers, and it just makes the whole cycle easier, right? And then what you want to do is you want to help more users. You want to help like the power users. So basically what that means is, if you have someone that uses your product a lot, and they have, for example, if you have like an email verifier where they only get 1,000 credits and they need more credits, and they're constantly buying additional credits at like $50 a month or something like that, why don't you create a plan where they can buy $10,000 a year or something, that they can get unlimited plans, and this is unlimited credits, and this is something that a lot of people would pay for depending on the tool that you offer, right? And that really could create a huge boost in revenue for you. So here are a couple more examples. So one, you can tweak your free trial and demo pages, because if this is your goal at the moment before you even transition into product-led growth approach, as you're transitioning, this is something that you can still do, because if you're getting all of these free trials and you're getting all these demos, there's a chance that if you explain better the value or what's going to happen next on those pages, that you can squeeze even more demos, even more trials out of those pages, right? Another one is you can improve the onboarding, which is obvious. The more people that activate, the more likely they're going to stay or go from a free to a paid customer. Then you can sell more annual plans, like I showed you before. You can fix failed payments. You can add a cancellation flow, and there's tens and tens of tweaks that you can be doing, right? So what I urge you to do is just go and try one or two of these tweaks and let me know how it goes, because there's definitely at least 2 out of these 5 tweaks that you can use and go ahead and get really good results from.